Well, it's been about 3 months since we told you the story of how residents who live around the Cape Coast Castle openly ease themselves on the beach, meant to attract tourists. The tourism ministry was furious about the act, or at least they organized a press conference to indicate so. One of the things that Minister Catherine Afeku promised was to build more toilets along the coast and set up task forces. Jojo Kobna has been there months after the initial story and reports the situation seemed to be worse. This is the report that he did in March.
For years, the space behind the Cape Coast Castle has been a defecating ground. The historical monument harbors horrific tales of the transatlantic slave trade. The castle has been marked as a World Heritage Site and receives thousands of tourists yearly. Many African Americans make emotional journeys here to retrace their ancestry.
We're survivors. Yes. Survivor spirit.
President Barack Obama has visited this place. Last year, a little over 60,000 tourists visited the castle and were probably greeted with this. It is unpleasant watching people hunker down, easing themselves. Many residents around the Cape Coast Castle do it without any shame. They confront us on why we're filming them and then try to hide from our camera to do their own thing. Many brave the strong tides just to ease themselves when a public toilet is just 150 meters away. It's shocking to note that many of the patrons of this place do not use toilet rolls.
I really like swimming, I really like the beach, and I just never go to the beach here. And Ghana has so many beaches, so many beautiful beaches, so many good places, and just too dirty to swim.
On March 26, 2018, the Minister for Tourism announced a big plan to end open defecation at the Cape Coast Castle.
We're putting a task force together that will be going alongside the celebrities doing their campaign to oversee that this phenomena, there's progress, there's elimination. The ministry itself will nominate 2 people, GMMB will nominate 2 people, and GTA will nominate 2 people. And Nana Enim will head this task force. We will also task GMMB to build a fence on the rocks behind the castle, so it will be a no buffer zone. So no one will be able to enter. It will be a security zone, because if you have a guest, and if you look at the video, it's so embarrassing. You have a guest overlooking the cannons, being told about the history and the atrocities that occurred at Cape Coast Castle. And what you see is a young Ghanaian man doing the unthinkable right below the castle on the rocks. It is not acceptable.
Unfortunately, the shameful practice still persists. In March 2018, I reported that residents of Cape Coast were defecating directly behind the Cape Coast Castle. The Minister for Tourism held a press conference and announced that a task force has been set up to arrest people who defecate at the castle. We are in June, and you can see that residents are still defecating behind the Cape Coast Castle without any shame. The task force has gone to sleep. One by one, they boldly make their way to the rocks behind the castle to do their own thing, desecrating the environment without care. Meanwhile, a toilet facility is sited just 150 meters away from the coast. Once again, I ask, what will it take to end open defecation behind the Cape Coast Castle? Jojo Kobna, JoyNews.
And these are the kinds of stories that make you speechless, that you don't really know what to say. Well, Jojo joins me in the studio for a very quick chat. But later on in our conversation, I'll also tell you about task forces and whether or not that system has worked. Because Richard Kojonyaku told us a story about how the people who are defecating in public are fighting back the task force that's supposed to stop them from defecating in public. Imagine that. Jojo joins me in the studio. But we also know that the minister is in Cape Coast as we speak on this matter. We'll be crossing over to Richard Kojonyaku to find find out what the minister has been saying. Actually, I wish she wouldn't be saying anything, but that she would be doing something. Jojo, I'm sure you wish the same too. How are you?
I'm okay. You too.
So you went there back on Friday, and I'm sure this that you captured with your camera is just what the camera could convey, just what time will allow you to tell us with the camera. But you saw a lot more.
When I went to Cape Coast to do some different story altogether, and then I decided. I was just around the Cape Coast Castle area, and I said, oh, let me check to see whether something has changed. So I entered the castle, and then I was shocked. I saw people, and I was shocked. So I was talking to some of the staff there, and they said, oh, when the report was played, they had a lot of publicity. Many people came around. The minister actually visited them and then told them that they had plans, very huge plans. They're going to fence off the area, and the minister said so many things.
Okay.
So they stopped defecating for some few days, and then it picked up.
And then it picked up again.
It was bad.
It's like awful. The floodgates have been opened for. It's as if the story was some sort of advertisement to make people, a lot more people come around.
To come around
and
to do their own thing.
Let's go to Cape Coast now. Richard Kojonyako is standing by for us. We understand that the minister is there. Richard,
Gifty,
what is there to report?
Well, the minister, Katrina Feku, today came to see what was happening at the Cape Coast Castle, and not only the Cape Coast Castle, she also went to the Elmina Castle, and in both edifices, people have been doing, have been openly defecating at the back of these castles. And so what she said was that she's brought the contractor, and the contractor's duty is to construct toilet facilities and dot them along the coastal stretch so that the people will stop openly defecating around that area. But in the interim, what they are doing is that they've detailed 2 men, security men, each behind the Cape Coast Castle and 2 behind the Elmina Castle, so that they will be patrolling the area. What they will be doing is not to really confront or engage in any aggressive confrontation with the people that do that, but they would have to speak with them, sensitize them, and educate them why they shouldn't be doing what they do until the project or the construction of these toilet facilities are completed.
Well, Richard, let me just find out from you whether or not the minister made the promise about 3 months ago. The story was done in March, and yes, we were told that they were going to put in place all of these measures. Were these measures put in place before, or because yesterday we did that story again? Do you know if her trip today was triggered by a replay of the story or a revisit of the story, or that before yesterday or before today that these measures that she said she would do 3 months ago were already done?
The minister did not give us any indication whether her visit today was triggered by the story we started rolling yesterday. But I mean, we could see from the larger picture that it could be the situation that as soon as she heard the story, that's why they put together all of these teams and then they came to Cape Coast. So it could be either way, whether they were coming to implement what they had said a long time ago, or it was actuated by the story that started rolling yesterday.
Did she perchance meet any of these young men doing their own thing on the beach today?
Exactly. Some were doing that, but upon seeing the delegation coming and heading towards the castle, all of them started running away. And so the situation has been there for a very long time. I told you about a story at Elmina, where Elmina and both Cape Coast, where a task force has been commissioned to deal with these people. Over 60 people have been arrested and been put before court. Others have been fined and all of that. But what it tells us is that, well, I mean, defecating at the beaches is a kind of pleasure. They derive some excitement in it. So they will fight back if they do not put some toilet facilities. But at Elmina, we have some toilet facilities dotted along the beaches, but they do not use them. A lot of them do not use them, but they prefer doing it at the beaches. And so it becomes very difficult for this kind of fight to wage. So the minister said that, well, they need a lot of funds, and so they are going to digitize all the castles in Ghana and all the tourist attractions in Ghana, because they feel that the funds that are supposed to come to the tourism ministry, these funds are not forthcoming, and so they are digitizing them, starting with the Elmina and the Cape Coast Castle, so that they can get some of the funds to implement some of these policies and programs they intend, pursuing, so that they could fight all these open defecation and other issues that are confronting the tourism sector.
Well, Richard, thank you very much for that update. But we do hope that now that there's the minister has been there and that they've placed task force members there to guard the area, that at least for now we won't have to see the floodgates open for people to defecate on the beach. Richard Kojonako there, who is just reporting that the minister is in Cape Coast. Jojo, let's finish up with this, and so I can let you go. What's your impression of the responses so far? In March, the minister said she'll do this and that. But I remember that yesterday we revisited the story, and today she's there. The museum, the Monument and Museum Board actually said that they had a response. We've been trying to reach them. We've not been able to. Jojo, let me take your response, and then we can call it a wrap whilst we wait for what happens in the next few days.
Well, I would say that I'm disappointed in the ministry. The reason why I'm disappointed, I remember very well on the 26th of March when the ministry held a press conference. He said, oh, I felt the shame. A foreigner sent me the video and was embarrassing, and that JoyNews can bring the video and should have brought the video so that we can find a nice way of telling the story to prevent something like this. So when she said that, I thought she meant
you expected some quick action of sorts.
Action because of how quick the press conference was organized. Now, 3 months down the line, my main intent going there was to see. In fact, I was thinking that by the time I get there, I wouldn't see a single soul squatting on the stones, only for me to see them. And
more
then today,
souls had been won.
Today, knee-jerk reaction, going there to say that, okay, we're going to put two people there, after saying that we already have established a task force. You know, I'm not
quite
impressed.
Disappointed. Well, I don't know if our viewers are impressed, but it is a developing story, and we'll be keeping tabs on it. In the meantime, like I said, and like Kojonako said, in Winneba, those who are defecating outside, they are fighting the task force for fighting them or for preventing them from doing their own thing on the streets. It's a very interesting story. Jojo, thank you very much for that update.